All right, we will go ahead and get started, even though there's a number of people that haven't logged on. I'm assuming they just want the recording so they can check in kind of on demand. But what I am going to do is share in the chat box there. There's the domain for the website where all the information that I'm covering can be found. So if you go into your browser and you go to cps.team, that pulls up this website that I've created down below. And down here, it gives you all the information. So whether you want to share it with your coaches, your fellow coaches, the athletes that you're working with, parents, if they have questions, kind of just puts everything in one place and makes it pretty easy. And the thing that, is most important, I think, out of all of this is to make sure that the tools that we're offering are getting in the hands of the student athletes that, one, need it the most, but then also the ones that traditionally in our business that we have people pay for memberships that they otherwise couldn't afford it. And that's the mission behind doing this, is that we want to make sure that it's available to every single athlete that's out there. And then our relationship, obviously being a Chicago-based company, me being from the Chicagoland area, along with many of you, and also, with my own situation growing up, being the first person in my family to ever to attend college, becomes super important to me and super important to us to make sure that we're kind of changing the culture and making sure that we're getting people the tools and the resources and everything they need so that they can make an educated decision and find a school that is really going to set them off on the right foot. And if they choose to compete and they find they can do that, all the better. So if you look here on the cps.team site, there is this button right here that says nominate. Real simple form. The Microsoft Forms program that we use, it gives the average time that it takes to complete it. And I think it was somewhere around 2 minutes and 15 seconds. So not an incredibly long amount of time. And you think about the impact that it can have, it's super important to do and something that's going to change these kids' lives just by taking a few minutes to do that. So if you haven't done this already, or even if you have in the past, I really encourage you to pick out a student athlete. It doesn't necessarily even have to be a kid within your building. It could be somebody that you compete against, someone that you know about, could be a family member or a friend that is in the Chicago public school system. Again, this is open to all of those kids, and we want to make sure that they have access to it. One thing that's important about this is that once you nominate them, they'll receive an email from us to whatever email address that you put on there. So if it's their personal one, they'll get it there. If it's their CPS one, it should go through because we should be whitelisted within the CPS email system because of our partnership. But if for whatever reason those aren't going through, please let us know so that we can use an alternative means of communication. But once they get that email from, it's usually going to come from Katie Massey on our team, the athlete has to go in and submit this application. So you can see right here, the second button says application. And again, this should not take more than 10 to 15 minutes. It's really just to show that they meet the minimum criteria, gather some additional information. This isn't reported back to the government, or there's not, we're not asking for tax returns or anything like that. We just want to make sure that they have a desire to play at the next level, because we've already had instances where nominated somebody, but they've replied back to us and said, you know what, I'm really not interested. I don't want to play at the next level, which is totally cool. We get that. We understand that, those situations happen and kids have their own dreams and desires and everything else. But the act of filling out the application shows that they're committed to following through in this process. So that's the first part. And then also just making sure that, on paper, it's not being submitted anywhere. It's just for our own internal review, that they do have some sort of financial hardship. That could range from, a single parent household to a parent or a guardian losing their job. Obviously, with everything that's gone on the past few years between COVID and, businesses shutting down and everything else, there's a lot of different ways to justify that. So there's not one steadfast, kind of rule that we use when determining it. If for whatever reason a kid comes back and they're like, listen, like my parents make six figures and we're totally fine, we don't have any financial need, we do have another program that's called the I Will Award, which is more merit and leadership based than it is financial based. So we'll get with them and, we'll make sure that everything's lined up properly so they still get that same sort of access, and, your nomination isn't for naught. Okay, so those first two things, again, super important. Nominate, apply, and then here's what those athletes receive. So they get our MVP membership, and if you look at everything that we offer at NCSA, our free tools are fantastic. But when you're jumping over to the membership world, we have what's called a champion, an elite, and an MVP membership. And just to use round numbers, that base one is about $1,000. The middle one's like 2,000, and this MVP one is like 3,000. And that differs a little bit between sport and what their grad year is and everything else. But those are just round figures, and that's not an annual investment. That's a one-time fee that families pay. And whether they're an eighth grader or a freshman or a senior, that carries them all the way through college. So if they go to a junior college and transfer to a four-year, or if they go to a four-year and want to transfer to a different four-year, these tools will stay with them so that they can continue down that right path. So I'm actually going to put this in the chat box as well. The three things I want you guys to do, that we need you to do for your athletes. Step one, nominate. Step two, apply. And step three, start promoting them. And that promotion part, actually, we'll cover the MVP membership here real quick. So here's all the different tools, sorry, I have to keep letting people into the room. Here's all the different things that MVP membership, supplies to them. The NCSA University, which is, where they research the different schools, the online recruiting classes, online support. Coach connections, they're going to be at the highest level. So if all things are equal and there's, 5 kids that are all pretty similar, those MVP members are going to show up first when a coach searches for them. Coach activity report is going to show them what schools, what coaches are viewing their profile, have viewed their videos, have, searched for athletes like them. With MVP membership, they also get 4 video edits. So depending on the sport, I know some might use Huddle more in like basketball, volleyball, football, stuff like that. Others might just set up an iPad, or a camera if it's, swimming or wrestling or a track meet. But whatever the video is, they're able to upload it. And then we have our video department that's going to edit it for them and sequence it properly, highlighting their best skills. In addition to that, they're going to get access to roster openings, which is a free tool actually. And I'll show you guys what that looks like. The match level, which is once they are given a rating and once they fill out their preferences, it's going to show them what schools are most likely to recruit an athlete like them. A custom scouting report, which is going to be done with their recruiting coach. And then over on the right-hand side, you'll see they'll have direct promotion to coaches through our recruiting coach team, live support. They'll have recruiting coach sessions, and then, probably most importantly is, as much as you all are mentors and coaches and help them with skill development and help them with personal development, with the MVP membership, they're going to be assigned a personal recruiting coach. So they're actually going to have somebody from our staff that played or coached collegiately in the sport that the athlete's obviously in, that's really going to walk them through what all they need to be doing. And oftentimes that's a little bit maybe easier coming from a more arbitrary source. We all recognize through experience that, playing at the professional or even the Division I level, only a minute number of athletes ever get that opportunity. But, that's what their dreams are. And for many of them, especially the freshmen and the sophomores and even some of the juniors, that it's kind of that dream or nothing. Okay, so when they hear from a member of our staff, like, hey, you need to check out schools X, Y, and Z instead of A, B, and C, and they have equally as good academics. The class sizes are smaller, so it may even be better for you. They have more financial aid. They have more scholarship money, be it merit-based and academic-based, than they will at the Division I level. There's a lot of reasons for it, but I think it really helps out when they're working with that personal recruiting coach. And then also on the support side, they're going to get access to a college funding consultation, which is through a third-party partner of ours. And then they get access to ACT and SAT prep. I'm sure many of you are aware that a lot of schools aren't requiring test scores anymore. But the beauty of it is that if they do test well or test above average, it can only help them and it really can't hurt them. So we do have a partnership with Method Test Prep, and they'll all receive a login for that so they can practice the test and get some test taking work and reps in doing that side of it. So I knew I threw a whole bunch out there in the first 8-10 minutes. Any questions so far? Or anything you guys are wondering about? No, nothing. All right, I'm going to skip back over here. That's all on the athlete side, right? That's all what they receive for the All-In Award, what the process looks like for that. Now, for you all as coaches or counselors or athletic directors, that's where this coach login comes in. And for those that haven't had a chance to do that yet, please go ahead and log in or create a login, because this is going to be how you're going to get a overview of what all the athletes are doing and help promote them and help kind of steer them in the right direction. So right now I am logged into kind of my general CPS account. And this has many of the athletes that have already received the All-In Award. So when I first log in, it's going to give me a dashboard and show me schools that are actively recruiting, be it this day, this week, whatever the case may be, depending on your roster size. I can actually sort the different schools by state and pull up a search map. And then it'll show me down at the bottom any of my athletes that have recently logged in. So some of you may recognize some of those names. Again, these are kids that have received that CPS All-In Award. If I go over to activity, this is going to show me my entire roster and what they're doing. So you can see all of these kids right here have logged in the past couple days. It shows the last time that they've updated video, which is, we already talked about the video editing piece, but if there's two things that I can really drive home for you guys to tell your athletes to do, it's to upload their video and upload their transcript, because even if you refer a player, they're going to want to get eyes on him or her, and they're probably not going to hop in a car or hop on a plane and immediately head out to wherever you're competing. But if they have some decent video up, they're going to be able to look at it there. Once they determine that they can play at that level, they're going to take that transcript to admissions. Can we get them in? Yes or no? And then if the answer is yes, they're going to bring it to financial aid. How much money can we give them? Okay, so real important stuff there. Make sure that they have video up and make sure their transcript is posted. You'll also be able to see the number of favorited schools, how many emails that they've sent. So you can see Adam down here. I think he's from Amundsen. He's favorited 163 schools and he sent out 500 plus emails. And if I open up his little tab, it'll show me right here. There's all the activity that he's had with schools. So Winston-Salem State in North Carolina, he sent an email. They viewed his profile. Pace University, he sent 3 emails. Illinois State sent 10. And then if any of these look like a good option for Adam, I can go right here and, let's say it's UW lacrosse. I click on this little arrow. And if I hit contact coaches, it should open up my email, whether it's Gmail or Outlook or whatever program you're using. And their whole coaching staff comes up, and it'll give a link to the profile. And again, keep it real simple and streamlined for you to use. So it's on a separate messaging center. Again, it's going to go right through your own email. I can also notify the coaches and let the player know that I think it is a good fit just by simply clicking this recommend college button. So not anything super in-depth or detailed or difficult, just real simple steps that you can do to kind of connect those dots, and also, get some idea of what your athletes are looking for. So I know for many of you, that's a half hour-long conversation trying to find out where they might want to go, what they might want to major in. If I go over here to preferences, this is going to show me what Adam is looking at. So you can see that he wants to stay in the Midwest Great Lakes area, all the bordering states that he picked out, wants to stay in, I guess he put urban, suburban, and rural. So it doesn't really matter the setting. He doesn't have any majors selected. For some kids, if they're looking at going into engineering or physical therapy or architecture, we all know that some of those majors kind of narrow down the opportunities that are out there. So that's good information to have. If you wanted to upload video, or you have a student manager or a parent or somebody on your staff that's able to do that, where it says video updated right here, you can click on that and simply copy and paste a Vimeo, a Huddle, or a YouTube link right into that little text bar right there. And then that will bring you right to it within the profile and allow college coaches to see that. So any questions so far? Again, I'm throwing a bunch of stuff out here at you. All right, last couple things we'll cover here within Team Edition. A few other really helpful tools. If you want to publicly post your roster, okay, it doesn't give access to contact information that is behind a login, a firewall, and everything else that only college coaches can access. But if you want to share, a roster on social media, or if you're, a school is going to be in attendance, if you go into roster and then teams, and you click on, this is divided by sport because this is the whole like CPS one. But if you click on any of the teams or any of the sports, it'll pull up this public rostering page. And again, this shows all the kids. It'll represent if they have their video, their GPA, stats, transcript, if they're committed, all up here. And then you can simply click on them, and here's the profile. So you can see that because I'm not logged in as a college coach right now, it's not going to show any contact info, but it'll show a lot of the other details that the coach should be looking for. If the coach wanted the contact information, there's usually a login screen up here that allows them to do that. And then that will unlock the contact info so that they can message the player, and start that whole process. Another thing that's helpful in the roster management section is when you go over here to athletes, you can upload your roster with a spreadsheet. If you click on this add athletes to roster, this will give you that page that I've shared with many of you. And this is unique for every school. And I also created those QR codes that help you get there. And then you can also manually add athletes one by one by typing in their info. Last two things on here, the resources and the fundraising. The resources page, this is great, especially when you're stuck without maybe a facility to practice. If you're a outdoor sport and it's raining like it is today and you can't get outside, or say that you're the freshman basketball team or the JV basketball team and you don't have access to the gym and you're looking for something to work with your athletes on, you can do it right here. It shows different articles, different videos. It's divided up into different sections, how to find different scholarships and financial aid. What should I be looking for in a camp? So real good information that you could just shoot out one by one via links like this and just share with the team so that they can help get ahead. And then finally, the fundraising part. I know everybody does it their own little way, but there is a built-in fundraising solution in here. So if you're looking to raise some extra money for your program or for the school, there is a crowdfunding, campaign starter that's built within here. So again, a real easy tool that we found very useful and something that a lot of different coaches and programs had requested in the past. So that's pretty much the broad brush overview. I wanted to keep it under 18 to 20 minutes. So I know you guys got to get prepared for practice or beat traffic home, whatever the case may be, but I'll stick around here if anybody has any questions. If you want to review your account, please let me know. One thing I didn't mention is that when you're on the cps.team site, if you click on the Find Your School, this has links to every high school's different rostering page. So that's what you would share with your players so that their information can get into the right account for you to manage and for you to see. So does anybody have any questions or anything that I can help with, or if you're wondering it, I'm sure somebody else is. So please let me know. I'm going to share this in the chat box again. Again, if you have not done it yet, or if you can do it again, please be sure to nominate a deserving athlete for that All-In Award. I think last time I checked, about an hour ago, we had 93 so far that have been nominated for this school year, which is great. But our goal has been to get over 400 for the whole school year. So I think we're pacing in the right direction, but could use a little bit of a boost. And, there's what I was just about to say, how many athletes can we nominate? If they meet those criteria, nominate as many as you'd like. If they have some form of financial hardship, if they have a desire to play at the next level, and, they have minimum academic and, athletic talents or, history that's going to allow for that. Now, it might be challenging if, the kid has all D's and F's and you're trying to, find a school for them. I don't know if you'd necessarily nominate that player all the time unless there are some extenuating circumstances, but we're looking for kids that, want to get to the next level and, show that through their actions. Any other questions that we have? One thing that I will mention as well, on the cps.team site, there is a button here to schedule your education session. With me being just outside the city, it's convenient. I get down to the sports admin office probably every other month for meetings down there. But, one thing we did a lot of pre-COVID was to actually have myself or another speaker on site at the school, on awards night or on the parent, informational night to cover a lot of this stuff. So if you have one of those scheduled for the end of the fall sports season, or the beginning of the winter sports or spring sports, which is just around the corner, let me know. I'd be happy to come out there and speak to all the families and, work with some of your kids on some, some of these skills and point them in the right direction. Any other questions? All right. Oh, like somebody else trying to. And you guys can feel free to unmute yourself if you want to ask a question that way. However, I could be of assistance. That's what I'm here for. Anybody that's on right now competing this week? I know there's what, like almost 30 CPS programs in the football playoffs. I think I saw that. I was going through the different brackets. All right. Well, like I said before, I'm going to share this recording with everybody. If you do have any questions, I'll put my cell phone number down here and my email. If you have any questions, feel free to reach out to me. Normally, text message works a little bit better than email. I'm also the head baseball coach over at Harper College in Palatine. So, with you all being coaches, kind of understand the way that works, not always tied down to the computer. And sometimes a quick text works a little bit easier. But feel free to text, feel free to call or shoot me an email. And I would be more than happy to help you guys out with whatever you need. So I appreciate you all taking the time today. It says a lot. I'm sure your athletes appreciate it very much. And yeah, let us know how we can be of assistance moving forward. So have a great rest of your Tuesday, and I hope to see or talk to you all soon.